This is MPU3223 effective listening. My group members are Dong Jiahui, Shi Renduo, Wang Hongyuan, and Wang Yixin. The contents are divided into 5 parts. The first is synopsis. The second is details. The third is barriers. The fourth is recommendations. And the last is conclusion. This part is synopsis. It involves an exchange between Frank Dixon, Director of Customers and Protection at JFK Airport, and Mr. Nowotny. The conversation is as follows. The first, Frank Dixon introduced himself to Mr. Nowotny and said that an interpreter was being sought for him. The second, Frank informed Mr. Nowotny that there had been a military coup in his country, that government-issued passport travel privilege had been suspended and that the United States Department of State had revoked his visa. The third, Frank explained the details of the coup, noting that most of the dead were members of the Presidential Guard, but that there were fewer civilian casualties, reassuring Mr. Nowotny that his family was well. The last, finally, Frank explained that the new government has sealed all borders, and Nowotny's passport and visa are no longer valid, resulting in him currently being unable to enter the United States and not belonging to any country. The overall dialogue reveals a sense of tension and helplessness, especially about Mr. Nowotny's helplessness in the face of an unexpected situation. Uh, this is a video link. This is details. This video has two roles. They are Frank Dixon. He is the Director of Customers and Protection at JFK Airport. Another role is Mr. Nowotny. He just a tourist.
For this part, I'm going to introduce the cultural difference. The cultural difference plays cultural roles in communication barriers. In my opinion, there are two major problems. The first is the language barriers. While language can be translated in time, but direct translation often fails to convey cultural nuances, which may lead to misunderstandings. For example, slang or humorous jokes in one culture may not have an equivalent expression in another languages. As for the solution to the language barrier, I give the following suggestion. Use professional translation services to ensure that translators are not only proficient in the language, but also understand the cultural background. In addition, learning to understand the language and the culture of the other side and respecting the cultural details will also help reduce misunderstandings. The second point is the difference in communication styles. Some cultures prefer direct and the clear communication, while others prefer indirect and implicit expression. This may result in confusing or incomplete information delivery. I think the solution is to try to understand the other person's communication style while communicating, and adjust your expression according to the other person's preference. For example, if you are not sure about the context of the expression, you can ask the other person expression mean again, to ensure that there is no there are no misunderstanding of the content.
So my part is the emotion barriers. The first is the dialogue, the Frank and Victor. In the dialogue, Victor keeping interrupting Frank when he was talking, and which also made it impossible to keep active listening. Next, the explanation. By explanation is by listening to and responding to the other person's emotional uh, feedback. You can better understand the other person's feeling and build a deeper trust and connection. Frank and the security guard put pressure on the victor at the beginning, approaching the insights and focusing too much to emotional feedback may lead to the liking to solution of the actual problem. As a result, the Victor connected interpret Frank's word in the subsequent dialogue and the negative emotional re- reactions. And for example, in the segment, he threw an apple the table and spared who packaged of the photo chips on the protagonist. Sometimes in the emotional feedback on the active listening may trigger unnecessary emotional response from the other side, and the other side may not have to pay the special attention to the problem, but become more sensitive and anxious due to the insensitive attention of the listener, resulting in the listening disorders. So next part is the soft barriers. The first one is the emotional reaction barriers. Solution is that show the understanding and respond positive and acknowledge emotions and listen efficiently. The strategy is that stay focused and put down the electron and the main eyes to contrast to give attention and respond. Where emotion is that to express understanding and empathy for each other topic, remain panic and forward it express and pay attention of what the other person and he is saying. The next is the external pressure. The fix it is the solution to make your is a clear and place your conversation somewhere free from outside influences and focus more on the conversation. The strategy is then to choose a comfortable and uninhibited environment to have a conversation. During the conversation, constantly remain yourself to focus on the other person and give trust and don't let external pressure distract you. Yeah. Now let's move on to the next part.
When you are trying to make listening more effective, especially when cultural differences and language barriers are in play, one great approach is to incorporate visual aids. This could be anything from images you find online to simple drawing you create on the spot. Using visuals can really help break those communication gap and make it easier for everyone to understand what's being said. So, to tackle the issue of listening barriers caused by those two factors, it's a good idea to turn to drawing or other visual aids. First off, try incorporating drawing, diagrams, or any other visual tools to represent your key points and ideas. This technique is especially useful because it helps close the language gap and ensures that your message is getting through clearly. Also, it's important to keep your language simple and clear. Avoid using jargon or idiomatic expressions that might be confusing to someone who's not a native speaker. Another effective strategy is to encourage interactive drawing. This means that both you and the other person participate in creating visuals together. This collaborative effect can make sure that both sides are on the same page. Moreover, it's crucial to check for understanding frequently. You can do this by asking the other person to explain back what they've understood or even draw it out. This way, you can immediately correct any misunderstandings that might arise. Lastly, don't forget to make use of technology. There are digital tools available that can translate text and speech in real time, which can be a huge help. Now, let's talk about another common barrier to effective listening: external pressure and emotions. These factors can really throw us off during communication. To overcome this challenge, it's important to use stress reduction techniques and emotional regulation strategies. To better manage the impact of those two factors, we should turn to methods that help reduce stress and promote emotional balance. One effective strategy is to engage in mindfulness exercises. This could include deep breathing, meditation, or even yoga. These practices are known to reduce stress and improve focus. Additionally, it's crucial to check in with yourself emotionally before beginning important conversations. Take a moment to assess your emotional state by recognizing and addressing any emotions that might interfere with your ability to listen. You can better prepare yourself to engage fully in the discussion. It's also helpful to create a good environment for conversations. This means setting up a calm and quiet space free from distractions and interruptions. By minimizing external noise, you will be better able to focus on what's being said and reduce any stress that might arise from the environment. Finally, practice empathic listening. This involves putting yourself in the speaker's shoes and truly acknowledging their emotions. Responding with understanding can not only help you manage your own emotional responses, but also keep you focused on conversation at hand. And now, let's hand it over to Shi Enduo for the conclusion.
Okay, to sum up, everyone's communication is a mutual process of communicating, putting forward appeals and give solutions. So different problems are often encountered in the communication process. We should be able to understand the problems in the communication process and then adjust the communication plan according to the problems, enhance culture's sensitivity, and respect each other's culture. be more proactive in confirm information and giving feedback. Pay attention to physical action and adequate behavior. And finally, establish a relationship of the trust with other person, and do the above points will be helpful for you in the face of communication problems. Thank you.